Hello, friends. WeatherBrains episode number 594. June 5th, 2017 is the date. This is the pre-show, that magical, marvelous time where we share boring personal stories, humorous anecdotes, and we say outrageous things.
Ah, crap.
That's pretty outrageous.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bad timing, wasn't it?
And it's a show title.
I cut the wrong. Don't you hate it when you mark some text and then you go to cut it and it moves the area you selected up? Okay, I got it back.
But that's great. We've said something outrageous and we have a show title within 60 seconds of the show opens. So there you go. Oh crap. So everybody's bailed on us. Nate was supposed to lead the interview tonight. He's out. Kevin is out. Bill Murray is in Walla Walla, Washington. And
he's in New York City, isn't he?
Hopefully Rick and Aubrey will be here. Yeah, I think Bill is in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it? Are we not using the right deodorant or something? We seem to...
Apparently, but me and you, pal, we're just lonely.
Yeah, the old guys of the show are the only ones who get here.
It's funny how the old guys are reliable. You know, we're here on time every week.
Yes, James, you remind me of a Timex watch. It takes a licking, but keeps on ticking.
Keeps on a ticking. So
is your Apple Watch still ticking?
I think so. In fact, you know what I've got on my iPad here?
No, what do you have on your iPad?
Well, hang on. Let me see.
I can't keep up with all the goodies you have. So iOS 11.
Yes. Let's see if I can do this funny here. That's the new mission control thing.
Oh,
all your
cool.
Little doodads are over here. And it's different, but it's cool. It's going to take a little getting used to. This is so far it's very stable. I've not had a single crash or an issue with it yet. But
wow, that's great. I'm really excited about Amazon Prime coming to Apple TV.
Yeah, no, that's good. Never thought that would happen. But anyway, I do it on one machine. I picked this iPad Pro. I'm not going to put it on my phone. Obviously, this Mac, I
hope not.
This Mac probably will not be upgraded until sometime this fall. So,
yeah, you know what I'm excited about?
What would that be?
I'm excited about the new iMacs.
Uh-oh. I smell a purchase coming.
Yes, I've already priced it out. It tops out at exactly $4,000.
You're going to buy that new iMac Pro they're coming out with?
No, I can't. I can't wait till December. I would like that, but no, I'll probably buy an iMac. But my gosh, the iMac is the specs on it are just absolutely amazing. So I'm real excited about that.
Well, cool. Why don't you buy us all one?
Yeah. You know what? I'm also just disheartened to learn. Apple is no longer going to support my 17-inch MacBook Pro. They consider it obsolete. I'd like to have a word with Tim Cook about that. I don't know how they can consider a piece of hardware that is working as well as mine is to be obsolete. Have a rant.
Okay, go. We get Tim Cook on this show.
Yeah, why not? I wish we could.
We have.
He's got
the guy.
He's got a new office.
The guy that wants to be on the show is Taylor Hicks, the American Idol. He's a weather weenie.
Let's get him on. I'd love to.
He won American Idol like I think 8 years ago, and
it's been a while.
He actually did a project in the 6th or 7th grade, and he came to visit me. And at the time I was working at Channel 6. Yeah, he came up, and so he did his middle school science project on weather with me. And I didn't even recognize him when he won American Idol. I'm embarrassed. I could not put it together.
He came into the Apple store when I was working out there at the Summit, and he knew me. I could not believe that. He's such a
You're a big deal, man.
Oh,
Come on.
I'm not. You're a big deal. I'm just
beloved meteorologist.
Yeah, I finally have a friend on Facebook from across the pond. Tarmo.
Yeah, no, you are internationally beloved. All right, let's do a roll call here. Chris, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great.
Ari and Jennifer, can you hear me?
We're good. We
Yeah,
got professional
we can.
setup. I got my in-ear monitors that I usually use playing the drums. It's good stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I've got these little wireless things here.
Nice.
You know, they look stupid, but man, it's nice not having those wires.
They do make you look a little weird there. You know.
Well, no, if only they had
No
like
more
flesh
weird.
tone. They don't need to. Yeah, I do look weird normally, but if they had like flesh tone, it's like I could use these for live shots on television. In fact, I use it in the morning. You know, I'm on the morning show from the house, and I use one of these things, just one, not two, but we need to maybe somebody could paint these things a flesh tone or something.
You could do that.
I love not having the wires.
I love
So
wireless,
goodness, Rick, are you okay? Hello, Rick.
I have wires, unfortunately, but I do have the extra large tips on that will not get stuck in my ear and require an ER visit. So I'm ready.
Another
Those
show
that don't
title.
know, that was the
Extra large
greatest,
tips.
the greatest weather brains ever when Rick
Yes.
Smith got his earbuds stuck in his ear during the show and had to be taken to a local hospital.
I took myself. Let's not over dramatize.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Oh, let's make it a better story, Rick.
I was rushed to a medical facility
Yes.
where extrication procedures were commenced, and
Oh, wow. That makes it sound even worse.
a bunch of big words, blah blah blah. So we can make it sound really.
And he's lucky to be alive.
lucky to be alive. I am lucky to be alive. So
Aren't we all?
I narrowly escaped death.
So, guys, let me apologize in advance. Nate was supposed to lead the interview segment here, and he bailed on us.
That's okay.
So,
Nate,
something about tornadoes. I mean, you know.
Allegedly had severe weather in his market, which
Well, that was
I'm
poorly
not
planned.
seeing a lot of warnings coming out of there.
No.
That's totally okay. More than okay.
And Bill Murray, who typically does the interviews, he's like in some prune pageant or shuffleboard contest or something somewhere, so he's not here.
As long as it's not colluding with the Russians, right?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
Vladimir.
Not that we can prove.
Yeah. Well, and if the Russians would like to endorse WeatherBrains and give us a large advertising budget, we'd take it.
Yeah.
Come
We're
on,
not
Brian,
too proud.
You just picked up $50,000 working the SEC baseball.
I did not.
Money. So, Chris, let me be sure I got your stuff right here.
Okay.
You are at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, or you got
not
your
there now.
you got your master's there. Okay.
Yes. Go Bucky.
I'm familiar.
So you and your wife
All
worked
right.
at Fort Worth.
Nice. Yes.
Mid 1990s to 2000.
Right. She started in the FO and moved into the RFC, and I spent the whole time there in the RFC.
Okay. So are you still with NOAA or?
No, I'm in the private sector now.
Okay. Well, who do you work for? We ask nosy questions here.
I work for a company called Infor, which makes software for businesses, supply chain, prediction, HR, the whole gamut.
Okay.
But I still have a good interest in weather.
Okay. Awesome. In fact, I have all this information here. Hey, you know, sometimes they'll put this information up and it's dead wrong. You know, you read this stuff and the guest has to say, well, actually, that's not correct. Okay. So, I'll hold the questions for the show. We got to wait until the bottom of the hour here. Once we hit television, we're on local TV here, and then we'll get this thing started.
How many stations
Aubrey,
are we
how
on,
are
actually, James?
Nice.
We're on 17.2, 68.3, 40.3, 58.2.
Sinclair's not broadcasting it on all their stations?
They should.
They should.
should.
Absolutely.
Now they're buying Tribune. We could be on a whole bunch of stations. And welcome to our television audience. It is 30 after the hour. Welcome to WeatherBrains. We have our guest here. Aubrey, is your audio okay? Do a mic check here.
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good.
Loud and clear.
Good.
Aubrey, the missing WeatherBrains person from last week,
I know.
who neglected to let us know she was going to be out.
I was
Hurt
so
our feelings.
excited.
Shame.
I was so excited to get out by the pool. I forgot.
Oh, brother.
I felt bad. I sent an apology.
I know
Okay,
you did.
Hang on. Let's turn this thing on here. We missed the good stuff. We don't record it here. So hang on here. Let me get this thing going here. So record track 1. Record.
Please get
track.
all the record buttons.
The nice thing about it, since these are recorded on YouTube, you always have a fallback, which there's no pressure here.
Let's not fall back.
We'll try and get you guys in and out within an hour. And again, thank you all for your time. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is WeatherBrains episode number 594. This is the weekly show that's all about weather. This is for June 5th. 2017. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join us this week. We are now into the marvelous time that we all know as meteorological summer.
Woo.
And Brian Peters, do you love meteorological summer?
No.
No. Thanks for your honesty and transparency.
Yes, I do not love the heat. Let's be a little more specific. I mean, summer's a nice season. And right now, the first 5 days of June, and I have nearly 2 inches of rain at my house. So June's looking nice right now, but typically I don't care for the heat.
I'm in there with you, brother. I used to love summer when I was a kid, but in my old age, I'm a fall, winter kind of guy.
And speaking of age, who has a birthday tomorrow?
Oh, brother.
We should all sing happy birthday to James.
Woo!
Let's don't. See, I can terminate this show real quick.
That's right. It popped up in my calendar.
Yes, it popped up in my calendar.
More importantly, though, it's my anniversary. Here's the tricks, and we're talking about couples on the show here.
That's cheating. You are cheating, James. You're cheating. You should have 2 dates to remember, not 1.
He's being
Right. This is a secret for those that want to, get hitched or something. Get married on your birthday. You don't forget. We were married on June 6th, 1981. So this will be 36 years, and they said it wouldn't last. Aubrey,
So it's
how
it's
long?
like 6 days after my birthday.
What?
You got married 6 days after I was born.
Oh my gosh! Here goes the age stuff.
Boy.
We're going down the tubes.
That's okay. I have no feelings left. I have nothing left. It's okay. So Aubrey, how long have you been married now?
2.5 years.
And they said it wouldn't last. You see, there you go.
I know.
Ask me, James.
Brian, how long have you been married?
Almost 48.
Ooh, wow. Coming up on
And
50.
it's really fun when my wife and I go to social events because they'll ask her how long she's been married and she'll tell them 46. And it's like, wow. I always can't quite figure out who I was married to for those other 2 years, but let it go. My wife will also admit that she doesn't do math.
Well, what we ought to do on this show one week is get all the spouses on here. I think that would be
That's a great idea.
It would
I've
be
got mine here.
This show is giving me all these new ideas here. This
Just because we
topic
have one set of
tonight.
spouses here tonight.
Yeah. Rick Smith, how long have you been married?
I've been doing math as you're talking about it, hoping you would come to me last. 29. It'll be 29 years in October 22nd.
Oh,
congratulations.
Up to date. So
Nice.
catching up
Awesome.
on James. I'll never catch you though.
Wow. So
Yeah, the
how's your
spouse
life?
show would be the spouse show would be really interesting. Are you talking about the spouses instead of us or with us?
Yeah, I think it'd be better without us. Just let them take the whole show.
I'd watch that show.
I would too.
You better.
So let's see. Let me bring in some of our guests, and let me apologize up front to our guest. Everybody who was supposed to line up the interviews here, they bailed on us. Bill had to go to New York City. Nate allegedly is working severe weather. We think is at a local Hooters or something. So we're all going to have to just jump in there. Rick and Aubrey and Brian, myself. But let's bring in first off Chris. Chris, how do you pronounce your last name?
Bovitz.
Bovitz. Exactly what I was going to say. Chris, you, and by the way, the subject for tonight, it's those that are married, and you and your spouse worked together at the National Weather Service in Fort Worth a while back, huh?
That's right. I was fortunate after I graduated from UW-Madison, go Bucky, that I got a job at the River Forecast Center in Fort Worth. My wife, who wished to finish her school, did so and came down a couple of months later. Luckily, a position opened up at the FO. She became an intern. After a couple of years, she found a position at the River Forecast Center as a HAZ forecaster and came over, and that's where we spent the next 5 years of our life.
Awesome. So you have left the Weather Service and you are now in the private sector and you live in Minnesota, correct?
That's right.
So tell us about what you do now, Chris.
Well, I'm basically a code monkey. I work for a company called Infor. It produces software for businesses, basically. Everything from forecasting to supply chain, point of sale, human resources, anything that a company could need, you can get with Infor. Oh, that sounded like a commercial.
That's okay. We'll send you an invoice.
We'll send an invoice. Don't worry.
Yeah.
The connection here is that along with a meteorology degree at UW, I preceded that with a computer science degree at the University of Minnesota. So I've been bopping back and forth between jobs with the National Weather Service and jobs in the private sector using computer.
Awesome. And your wife is Lori. And so what does she do now in Minnesota?
She is sort of back in the business. She works for Energy Platforms. It's a company which works at making energy reporting software. You log onto the system, you tell them how much you're using, how much you should be using, works with rebates. It's a very good software. She's the product manager and in QA and is doing some tech support too, and she really likes it a lot.
Awesome. Well, thanks for taking the time to come on the show, and you just jump right in here because we're doing a free-for-all tonight. Let's bring in Ari and Jen, our sweet couple, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, guys.
I'm trying to figure out who suggested this. Do you guys remember? I think an email person suggested this, right?
I don't remember.
I think it was Chris. Wasn't it you, Chris, that suggested
I
this?
I sent in something about it, but it sounded like you had already had something planned.
Yeah, I think Bill and I had
I'll
talked
take
about
credit.
it too. We thought it would be fun.
Yeah, we hang out with Bill quite a bit. By the way, that guy can eat some hot chicken. Holy moly, we had hot chicken in Nashville.
I don't understand how he did it. I don't understand how he did it.
I thought I was a hot food connoisseur, right? I
Yeah,
can handle some serious heat. If you get the Mother Clucker, that's like the hottest that they have. I think it was in Birmingham. Where was it? Hattie's?
It was in Birmingham.
Yeah, it was at Hattie's.
And by the way, Brian, that is your show title right there.
Mother Cluckers.
Mother
my
Cluckers.
goodness.
Yeah.
He just annihilated that thing. I could barely get a couple bites down.
I had
very
like
impressed.
one little piece and I was crying,
I know.
basically. Yeah.
So, no, I've watched Bill suck those things down. You know when it's hot when you see beads of sweat popping up on his forehead up here. There's no hair to cover it up.
Serious
Yeah.
business.
So time now to ask some nosy personal questions. Where did you two meet?
Twitter.
Twitter.
What?
What?
On the Twitter?
Yeah. So whose version
For
of
the
the
jingle,
story?
James, social media.
There are two versions to the
Yeah,
story.
I say because I was married before. I got divorced in 2011, and right as soon as I got divorced, she started messaging me on Twitter. No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
not
That's not
No,
I was trying to flirt with her basically through DMs. I thought she was cute.
Yeah.
That I'd flirt with her, and then we started meeting, and then we both got jobs in Huntsville. And
Yeah,
guess
because
that's
I was
that.
in Tupelo, Mississippi. He was in West Virginia. And we were both like competing with each other, looking for jobs. And then we both ended up getting jobs in Huntsville,
yeah, both of our
Alabama.
contracts
So,
were up, and we
yeah.
just happened to both have applications out in Huntsville. We had both applied to both jobs, and she worked with your buddy Jason James down at HNT, and I was working at AAY for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Competitors, huh?
Yeah,
it
we're
was weird.
competitors.
Like she
So how does that work? Do you guys?
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to do things, in the cover of darkness, like at 3 a.m.
Sometimes, well, we would like talk about the weather together, but anything related to the station, we, had to keep to ourselves. And it'd be funny because on the weekends, if there was severe weather or a tornado warning, it's like who backs out of the driveway first because we both wanted to get to our stations. And so he would be polite. He would be a gentleman and always let me back out first, even though his station was farther away.
That was early in the relationship.
Yeah, it was. Now that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen now.
Well, it's about to get real now. Show them what's going on down here.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at this. Come on.
I am pregnant.
Very pregnant.
Right
It's a
here.
big baby in here.
Congratulations.
Wow. 7
Wow.
months now?
Wow.
This is
What's-
crazy, man. You guys are
what's
off
the due
time.
date?
It's August 15th.
16th.
16th. You guys
That's
are
close
all-
enough.
Like, I cannot get enough of watching. You can see now the baby doing this through the stomach. It's like pushing out her stomach and moving around. It's nuts.
We're trying to increase the weather population,
Yes.
meteorologist population,
It's cool.
one at a
Wow.
time.
So who popped the question here during this dating relationship?
This guy did.
I suppose I did.
Yeah.
So now all you young guys, y'all go through this elaborate production when you ask somebody to marry. Ari, how'd you do it?
Not
No.
me. I hate that stuff.
We were watching A League of Their Own, and you know the part where what's her name, where she's singing, they're in the bar and they shouldn't be, and she's singing to the guy.
This is the lady that was not especially attractive, right?
Yes.
Marla.
Yeah.
Marla.
Marla.
It was Marla.
Marla
And so-
Hooch.
Yes. So Ari got a little emotional.
Oh, whatever.
No, and so he's like, he really did though. And he was like, Jen, come upstairs with me. And so we went to the guest room and I was like, wait, are you doing what I think you're going to do? And then he's like, no, I'm not. And then I was like, oh, you aren't?
I had the ring. I couldn't hold on to it for very long.
Yeah.
You
gotten it earlier that day.
Yeah, I think I'd gotten it earlier that day. So.
Yeah. So then he like went
Which,
down.
by the way, she's not even wearing.
Well, no,
right
I
now.
know, but it's the end of the day.
Yeah, I think she's hedging her bets.
No, but he got down on one knee and it was really sweet. And the funny thing is, we celebrated with hot dogs. We didn't go out to dinner and do anything fancy. We just
Grilled out.
grilled
hot
out
dogs and beer at home.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome.
Sounds like a great evening.
It
I
was.
bet. So what year was this? And you guys were still in Huntsville, right?
Yes.
2012?
Yes, 2012. Actually, this guy moves kind of fast. It was like 5 months after
You're the one that
we
wanted to
started
move in.
talking. Yeah.
So wait a minute. You mean this creeper started hitting you up on the tweeter, and then you started dating him, and 5 months later you're engaged?
Okay, I know this sounds really bad. So like our second date, no, it was our third date. We were looking for places to live together in Huntsville, which is
Oh.
really,
We just kind of knew, you know.
I know.
We'd both been in long relationships.
yeah.
I was not looking to get into anything long term. I just did not want that. I was just grossed out by the idea because I was so, disgusted by the whole marriage thing and the divorce that I'd had, and all the time that I missed out on. So bottom line is, you find things when you're not looking for them. Apparently, I think that's kind of the theme.
Yeah. But it was
So tell us about the wedding.
Oh, it was
Good wedding.
awesome. It was a beautiful wedding. The thing is, what we wanted was a thunderstorm and potentially a tornado in the background, but it didn't quite happen that
We got a
way.
perfect-
It'd be like the lawnmower guy in Alberta.
I know, yes,
I love that
exactly.
guy.
No,
It was a perfect day. I
Yeah.
mean, Huntsville summer, you can't ask for better.
so it was crazy. We got married on September 14th. A cold front had just moved through the day before, so it made it a lot less humid. It was just refreshing. It was still in like the low 80s, so it was a little hot, but it wasn't that bad. So we got married, in Huntsville at the Art Museum, and it was really pretty. It was a lot of fun. So yeah,
Good wedding.
it was really fun.
Do your own booze for weddings, by the way. That's a
Yeah.
tip for everybody. Save a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
There's another
we
show
did.
title right there. Why do I get the idea? We're going to have show titles for the next 10 years on this show.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's a lot of fun
So-
going to the liquor store and spending hundreds of dollars.
We're not alcoholics, I promise.
And you have to use the
Wow.
shopping cart.
This is water.
Yeah. Hey, man. No, so how long did you stay in Huntsville after you were married?
We stayed in Huntsville. I left Huntsville in 2014 at the end of March when I got the job at the Weather Channel. And then he ended up getting a job at the Weather Channel about 4 months later and then followed me here.
Yeah, I got lucky.
So,
my contract was coming up. I wanted to stay in Huntsville because I'm absolutely in love with that town. I'm a big severe weather nut, and there was a very, strong possibility that I could have ended up the chief at AAY because my chief at the time was going to Memphis. So I kind of wanted to stay in Huntsville, but she, wasn't happy with things at where she was working. And she, this is what I like about her. She's got a lot of drive. She just said, yeah, I'm going to take this job at the Weather Channel. I'm like, in Atlanta. Okay, so what about me?
Well, it was crazy because, I don't know, you grow up watching the Weather Channel and it's like a dream to work there. And so I saw the job posting for a weather producer. And so I applied for it and they messaged me about it and I interviewed and ended up getting it. And it was almost like too good to be true, but it was true. And my pay kind of almost doubled, which was really nice because starting out in like Tupelo, Mississippi, you don't make that much money. So it was really great. And then we were trying to figure out, so we were contemplating buying a house between Huntsville and Atlanta, and then Ari got the job at the Weather Channel.
I got lucky,
too.
honestly. I looked at a couple jobs in Atlanta. There's like a weekend job with reporting at the Fox station that I didn't want to take. And I honestly just got lucky because my contract was coming up. I had updated my resume and it was, out online and on YouTube. And Greg Gilderman, the senior executive producer for digital at weather.com, just found my tape and they were looking to do this whole brand new thing. I was the first broadcast meteorologist that digital had, and we've kind of blossomed from there. So we kind of like built it from the ground up. It was like a brand new project, and I got to play a big part in kind of molding what it is. So anyway, bottom line is I got very lucky, and we ended up in the same city now. Atlanta's big though, man. Holy moly, the traffic here.
So Ari, do you work for weather.com? Is that a separate entity from the Weather Channel? I still don't understand how that works.
Yeah, we're it's funny, we're competitors once again.
I know, now we're competitors again.
So
we work in the same building but for different companies.
IBM came in and they bought all the digital properties, so basically everything except the TV network. So technically the TV network now is a different company. When IBM bought all the digital properties, that included the name, the Weather Channel, and all the branding and all that stuff. So TV right now, it's a company called Weather Group. I believe they're leasing the name, the Weather Channel from IBM or something like that. I mean, we don't know the inner workings of it. This is all between the higher ups and the bosses. But yeah, it's legitimately straight up different companies right now.
Yeah.
So
nice and interesting.
How does that work really with the two different companies?
It's interesting. We basically, since we're the TV channel, we concentrate on that, but we also have like an awesome fan site, We Love Weather, which is great. You should sign up for it. That was my own little commercial. But it works well because we still communicate with each other. It's not like we don't talk to each other. But there's just some things that are separate. So
there's so many different aspects. I mean, you got Facebook Lives now. So, everybody's got their slot and you have to schedule, okay, is digital going to go here or is TV going to go here? What else? Twitter account, you guys are kind of sharing. Like I said, I don't know all the inner workings of this, but, during that deal, there were some rules that got set, I believe, for instance, digital can't cover weather live. That's like something that TV can, but of course we got a lot in return for that, or, just a lot of that kind of stuff that's messy. It's kind of like
there's certain things and some stuff we can't talk about, but
why not? Nobody's listening here but a few close friends. I mean,
I love James. James is awesome. But, we all, we're in the same building still. And so we all get along really well.
Yeah, everybody's cool. I mean, if I see Cantori in the hallway, we're cool. It's like, it's good. All the meteorologists are still buddies. It's fun.
So I do social for the TV side. So I touch like all aspects of everything, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that.
She's the queen.
I do. So
Social media queen.
yeah, well,
Let's talk about the challenges of working with your spouse in the same office. So, Chris, let me kind of throw it back over to you. You worked in a National Weather Service setting for several years. How'd that work out? What was the best part? What was the worst part?
Well, the best part was we had started there shortly after we got married 24 years ago this July. So it was really nice to be able to spend as much time as possible with my wife, and that was great. The part that sucked was having to deal with shift work, as the Weather Service kind of does. My job in the RFC was mainly days, but Lori would have to work rotating shifts, sometimes midnights, which did not agree with her very well. When she moved into the River Forecast Center, where I was, easier to work with the schedule coordinator to try to get us on similar shifts, similar weekends off. But there are times when part of going to work is you want to be able to work with people that are your friends at work. And sometimes having the wife there, not that I talked about my wife or said any bad things, stop laughing, but it's just a nice way to get away.
I think his nose is growing.
Yeah, she can't hear me right now, can she? But I think that being able to get to escape for even just a few hours is very useful. One other aspect of this was after our first child was born in early 2000, knowing how bad midnights worked for Lori, and she had our oldest son to nurse, she just couldn't handle it. So the sacrifice fell onto me to not only pick up her midnight shifts, but also work my midnight shifts, which worked out great in some days and not so great on many other days when I would come home at 6 o'clock and, oh, there's a kid I had to take care of. Okay, before we could bring him into daycare. But overall, I think it was a great experience. Learn to work with your wife, and not just she's in the same building as you or the same office, but even working on projects together. That was a real treat.
oh, that's nice. I like that.
Nice.
So Jen and Ari, tell us about your experience working together at the Weather Channel, the best part and the worst part.
I would say the best part is just seeing each other and just talking about the weather, because we're both weather geeks, so it would be really exciting during really active times and active days and stuff like that. The thing is, we actually our offices have always been separate, so we don't really see each other, and our jobs have kind of been separate, so we don't communicate a lot. Like, we work in the same building, but in some aspects we do talk to each other for different projects, but other things we're doing our own things.
It's perfect.
So
It's in the same building for logistics. You can have lunch together, but you don't have to see each other that often.
Do you end up working? Do you end up working the same hours, pretty much, or?
We
we've been all over
used
the
to.
place.
Yeah, we've been all over the place. We used to work the same hours, and now I'm the 8:30 to 5:30, and you're
I'm like 10 to 7.
Yeah, 10 to 7.
10 to 7 is the
Yeah.
worst shift. You can't get anything done. No errands or anything. It's just your whole day is gone. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, and you can't do anything.
And he was just filling in though on the morning show.
I love the
for
morning
like
shift.
3
Oh.
months.
That was my whole local news career was mornings. You get very used to it. It's crazy when you spend enough time in your adult years doing that. You expect to get out of there at 11 or 12 before management comes in, before all the crazy stuff happens, and you can just go relax, enjoy your day. We got a huge yard here that needs a lot of work.
He gets his makeup done every day too.
What?
Yeah, he does. He gets his makeup
perks.
professionally done every day.
So let me just say this. Here we prefer CoverGirl for powder. Ari, what do you use over there?
I think we use Mac.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing I've learned, I wish I knew earlier in my career, there's this thing called blot powder, BLOT. And it's amazing. It doesn't color your skin, but you put it on like every 45 minutes or so. You just kind of pat it on. It takes all the shine off your face. It's amazing. That's my makeup.
Wow.
tip.
You learn a lot on this show here. What is it called? What is it called again?
Blot powder, BLOT, blot powder.
Blot. Brian
Buy
buys
that
a
at like
keg of that
Walgreens
stuff.
or CVS.
I don't know where they get
I think
it.
it's actually Mac. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
Mac.
a Mac product. Yeah.
Where do they sell
It's
that?
expensive.
Is it?
Department stores are online.
In that case,
Yeah.
we're not buying it.
Holy mackerel.
Listen,
rescind
for
my
some
endorsement.
people like me and Brian, paint on these barns don't help. It's just not working.
Speak for yourself.
So is it a union position over there where they do the makeup, or is it not a union?
I don't think so.
No, it's not a union.
I'm
No.
not a fan
Okay.
of unions. I don't think I would work for a union.
I
Yeah.
worked in Dallas in another life, and that was a union position. The makeup people, you could not put
Wow.
on your own makeup. That was totally they file a grievance on you, and if you had so many
Wow.
grievances, they could dump you. You couldn't put on mics. You couldn't do anything. Once you get used to it, it's okay, but it was just different. So here's the big question, and I'll go back over to Chris. So let's say you and your wife had a little spat, a little bump in the road. Listen, we all have them. I've been married 36 years tomorrow. We've all had them. So what pressure does that put on the work day when you're both working in the same office?
Well, you've learned to busy yourself. You learn to find ways of not addressing it. I've been in some positions where, other positions where the husband and wife are working near each other, and you become quite familiar with what the arguments are in that household. So, of course, being newly married, we had no arguments, but on the rare occasion we really tried to leave it at the door, do our jobs, even when we were working on projects together. So we have to do this now, we'll fight later. But try to keep it as much as possible separated between what we're doing in the office and what we have going on at home.
Being professional. So Ari and Jen, I know y'all have never argued. You'd never had a spat, but if
Never.
you happen to have one, what's it like working in the same room, in the same office building? You just kind of keep
Same
your distance,
building
or
is
what?
nice because, yeah, you don't have to be around each other. But, the thing is, we're still on kind of like all the same networks. So you got
Yeah.
GChat open.
Yeah.
So, sometimes if there's things going wrong, I'll pop over to my laptop and there's a wall of text on GChat. And I'm like, oh boy, I better address this right.
Yeah. Same thing over here. He likes Facebook. So I'll see all these texts on Facebook or a text message. I'm like, what's going on?
Sometimes
And
we do
then
good logistical things though, it's like,
Yeah.
if we're going through one of us is doing like a financial thing or something, we can just message like,
No,
hey, what
yeah,
was
that's
this?
a good thing too.
Something.
Yeah. Like if I need his signature on something, I will just like run downstairs and be like, all right, I need this.
We can get
or
stuff
whatever.
notarized. We can fax things.
Yeah, that's kind
Who
of
has the bigger office here?
Mine's a studio. But
Yeah, his is more of a studio. So I would say they're the same
I
though.
don't know. I mean, the
'cause we
room
both have
that
same
she works
desk.
in is way bigger. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty nice. I mean, they got cubicles, but it's very modern.
I work on the floor with the design team, all the guys that do the augmented reality at the Weather Channel. So when like they're creating all these like 3D different images, I walk by them and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. So like my office, we're dark and it's all like very creative, and he's works in a studio,
Yeah,
which is cool too.
it's
It's
very
very cool.
cold too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really everywhere.
They can hang meat in ours sometimes. So.
Oh God, I hate it.
But you know what's fun? Because we go on dates storm chasing locally even too. We've always done that.
That's a nice thing about working at the Weather Channel, particularly.
Yeah.
Because when you're in local news, I mean, think about Huntsville. Like if there's any legitimate severe weather going on, you're going to be at work no
Yeah.
matter what.
Right.
So it's nice that, there are days where we're staffed. I don't have to worry about it. We're not doing intense, local coverage down to the county or whatever. So if we got good storms, we can go out and chase them.
No, it's so funny because I remember when I first started at the Weather Channel, I'm like, you guys don't need me. They're like, Jen, go home. And I'm like, but are you sure? And they're like, go home. And I was like, that's crazy because you're like, like
Yeah,
a 3-person,
ingrained in your head.
4-person team, and you always are on call,
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice in that way.
So let's talk about children. That's when life gets complicated. Brian, we've been down this road. And,
Yes, unfortunately,
I
or
know-
fortunately.
Yeah,
What doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you
boy.
go. That's another show title. So,
Yes. Yes, it is.
Chris, let's start with you. Tell us about working, shift work, and kids. I don't know when your children came along, but it sounds like maybe, did you have kids when you worked down in Fort Worth?
We did. Alex was born in January 2000, and we decided to move back up to Minnesota, where both of our families are from, in October. In the meantime, as I mentioned, we had to deal with an infant son who for a while couldn't go to daycare because he was too young. So we had to work around not only that, but rotating shifts and also enjoy the moment of, this is our first son, this is our child. We want to be around and not being so bleary-eyed because he just worked a midnight to 6 shift, and all you want to do is get to sleep, and the kid's just waking up, and you want to enjoy that. We have another kid that we had outside of the weather service, or when we were both in the weather, which has worked better. We were both on day shifts at the time, working or private sector jobs. But both kids have thankfully, very strong interest in weather. I don't think they're going to go into it, but it's nice that they get it, that we can talk about storms and they know what we're talking about. We've indoctrinated them into the business, sort of. And to have that outside of the weather industry is very nice. I know couples who have kids, and it's really tough because, like any shift work, you're missing those special events, not just the first word or the first step, but concerts and games, and all these things that are family fun. So we escaped and got out of that soon, so we didn't have to, thankfully, deal with that.
Let me just bring in Rick and Brian, weather service guys here. Like you guys, Brian, you worked for the weather service raising a child. How hard was it?
Well, fortunately, my wife was able to be an at-home mother. So I don't want to imply that it wasn't that it was easy, but we could usually fall back on her being at home and not also juggling a job. Then when our daughter got into school, then my wife actually went back out into school herself and got her massage therapy degree, you might say. And began her own business that way. So I don't want to say it's hard because, as somebody just noted, you miss some of those events that you don't want to miss because you have severe weather. And in my case, being the second in command at the weather office, usually I had to be there during severe weather. So it usually means that you miss some events here and there, and that you always feel guilty about, my daughter grew up very well, so I don't think she was affected by it too terribly bad.
And you just had the one child, right?
Right. I'm an only child, and we had just an only child.
Yeah, I'm an only child. Rick Smith, tell us your experience raising kids working with the weather service.
Well, we've got 4 kids, and so there's frequently, it seems like in the springtime, like, I'm like Brian, I'm the same position Brian was, and I'm usually at the office for most severe weather events. And so that means missing band concerts and graduation ceremonies. And I kind of, the longer I've gone in my career, though, the more aggressive I am at the office about saying, I have to leave at 6 o'clock to go do this. I'll come back when it's over, unless it's just Armageddon happening. I do make it a lot more of a point now to try to get away more than I did before. I feel there's a lot of stuff I missed early on that I wish I could go back in time and unmiss it, but trying to make up for it now. But yeah, it's tough. Anybody for all the guests tonight, if you're working in weather, the weather doesn't care when your son's band concert is, or when graduation is, or when the t-ball game is, or any of that. You're really torn sometimes, and so yeah, you just do the best you can.
Yeah, we raised 2 boys. The first came along in 1984, the second in 1997. And I don't have any regrets. I think that's the main thing for me. And yeah, we all miss things. We've all missed things, but I don't have any regrets. So Ari and Jen, I assume this is your first child. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Or is that your first child we see back there behind you?
Excuse me, we're not too toy.
So sorry.
Nash.
It's our really big dog, Nash.
This show's going right to the dogs.
Yes, it is. No, we are ready. It's crazy because, well, it's going to be a hurricane baby, So she's gonna come near the peak of hurricane season. So he actually gets 6 weeks paternity leave, which is really, really lucky.
Cool.
So we'll both be off, but we're gonna give each other turns because we both love severe weather so much that we don't want to miss it either. So we're gonna just do the best we can during that, and then when we both go back to work, it'll be interesting, but we will kind of have to still take turns, I think.
This is not boding well for August because James Spann will be on vacation and you're going to have a baby. Holy mackerel. We're going to have a Gulf storm. I'm making that prediction right now, June 5th. Everybody mark it down.
Right up Mobile Bay.
Exactly. Yep, right up Mobile Bay.
Yeah, no, our two kids were hurricane babies too. One was born August 4th. One was born August 5th. And that first child, Ari's talking about taking 6 weeks. I was working at the NBC channel in Birmingham, and they just transferred me. They told me on Friday I was going to Dallas, and I start Monday. And I went home to tell my wife, and she went into labor. Our son was born the next day.
Oh, that's one way.
They still made me go to Dallas on Monday.
Oh,
I mean, I had like a weekend for my paternity leave. It was just insane.
Yeah,
so
and I mean,
different.
The thing is, you can spread it out, I believe. And I told my bosses, I said, look, if there's a hurricane hitting the United States, I'm here. I'll be there. It's no big deal. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with something very active this year just because of that. That's funny. But I'll tell you what. Oh, go ahead.
Y'all picked out a name for the girl yet?
We have, although we're not sharing it with people.
Though I kind of have been telling people.
I know, I've told a couple.
Oh,
also.
Go ahead, break
come on, break it on WeatherBrains. Where's the breaking news?
We interrupt this program for a CBS Radio Net Alert Bulletin.
We'll see how many of my friends know this by tomorrow. We'll really see who watches WeatherBrains. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, so Zara is going to be her name. Zahra.
It's a Persian name.
That's beautiful. What a great name.
Very nice.
Yeah. It means bold.
That's awesome.
I'm interested to see what color hair the baby's going to come out. Look at the difference here.
I think his dominant, darker features are going to win.
Wow.
So we know it's a girl?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it right away because, I don't know, you guys are probably like this. I mean, when you're a scientist, I heard we were going to find out if it's a boy or girl, so I spent hours researching ultrasounds. So as soon as we went in there, as soon as we got the money shot, I was like, it's a girl. I knew it right away.
Even before the ultrasound tech, and she was like, and I think you're right.
She's like, no, did you know that?
I know.
So did you consider weather names for this girl by any chance, or did you have it?
Feel around?
Yeah. So Amaya was a close second. And Amaya means nighttime rain, and that's a Persian name too. So
it is.
I like
the
Amaya.
Persian names.
Yeah, we were considering it, and then Ari actually just brought up Zara. He's like, I kind of like that, and I'm like, you know what? I like that too. So that's the front runner right now. I mean, it could change. I've heard people, they think they have a name, and then like when their child's born or the day before, they're like, actually, let's not do that.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see.
yeah. It happens.
Well, so Brian, remember the birth and babies? I don't remember anything about it. It's been so long for me. I wouldn't know what to do.
I just remember that we were doing natural, and when it started, my wife said, I want drugs! I want drugs!
Oh, God. Anybody that does natural, I think they're amazing, because basically what I've told my doctors about my birthing plan is I just want an epidural. Like, I just think that's healthy for me. And, I think
it's a process, man. Just like the same way I was doing with the ultrasounds. I'm trying to prepare myself for everything. So I've watched a couple, I've
he's a
found
researcher.
some medical videos online of seeing what it actually looks like. I wanted to see. You have to be prepared. If you're not prepared for that, it's going to be a shock.
I wonder if Ari's seen the part
be a shock
where
anyway.
the expectant lady hits the husband on the head with a skillet during the labor process.
They wonder, how'd you get a frying pan into the operating room?
So Chris, you say you considered naming one of your boys after a hurricane.
Yeah, for our older son, Alex, we considered Andrew, but like you might discover, or like many people have discovered, once you see them, you realize, nope, that's the name that fits. And we went with Alex.
Nice.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
And so how old is Alex now?
He is 17. He's trying to get through the whole driving thing, and so are we. Yeah, he's 17.
That's awesome.
His younger brother, Zach, is 14.
Nice.
And do they have any interest in weather at all? You said they're interested, but they don't want to do it for a living, I think.
Right. Yeah, both have an interest. They know when we talk about fronts coming through or jet streaks, nothing like PVA yet. They know what we're talking about. My younger son, Zach, does have a strong interest. He watches all the tornadoes, and he has more questions for my wife and me. My wife also has a degree in meteorology. If you work for the Weather Service, that certainly helps. But they both know that when they hear the weather radio go off, we have one on each level of our house, that something's coming, and they always turn to us, or they look at the radar and say, "Dad, what's that?" or "Mom, what's that doing there?" And we try to explain it to them as best we can. But they currently have no interest in going into the weather biz, which is fine. It's whatever makes them happy.
Yeah, we always wonder about that. We're wondering, like, is our daughter going to just hate weather because we love it so much? Or is she going to be like, wow, it's great, let's go storm chasing as
you
a
want to be
family?
careful not to overexpose them sometimes. Because I remember in high school wrestling, we had this kid that was amazing, but he had wrestled for so long since he was like 4 years old that he literally just got burned out over it.
Yeah.
It always stuck in my head because I'm going to have a child that's a wrestler. Even if we only have girls, I'll make one of them into a wrestler. I have to pass that on. I mean, come on.
He wants to make our daughter a wrestler.
I've seen some lady wrestlers, and they're strong. I mean, they are strong. They're good.
There was a girl that took second at state in Wisconsin. That's a big wrestling school in high school. She took second at state in the boys division. It was at 103. I remember that my senior year, 2003.
And they've got something to prove too, so watch out.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't know if our daughter's going to get into that. I don't know. We'll see.
No, both of our boys have no interest in weather, none. But the one thing that people ask them all the time, what's the weather going to do? Like, they're supposed to know something about it, you know? I mean,
don't ask my wife about the weather. She'll tell you right off the top she's not the weather person in our family.
I don't even know what the weather's going to do anymore. People ask me all the time, like, they ask us when we're in Atlanta, but the thing is,
we concentrate so much on weather.
We're doing
across
big
the whole country. Yeah. That we were like, wait a minute, it's raining outside.
I find myself waking up sometimes and I'm like, oh, I actually need to know the weather today. This is weird. Okay, let me check my phone and see and I'll like have to see if it's going to rain or not because I never know what's going on in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay, I have
So is it going to rain here? I don't know, but I know it's going to storm in Texas. Is that of interest to you?
I know there's a typhoon that's about to hit the Philippines, but I have no clue what's going on in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I have a question for you two. I figure out, Jen, I can find you on weather.com. But where do I find you, Ari?
Well, it's on it's on weather.com. So basically, I do the videos that we make for the app and also for the website. So you'll find all those videos all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Not a separate like digital.weather.com or something like that.
No. It's weather.com. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good
so
question.
I want to talk about this local versus national thing, because a lot of people in our business, they sometimes have an option to where they might become a meteorologist at a local market television station, or maybe they have an opportunity at some place like the Weather Channel or Weather Nation or whatever. What are the advantages and disadvantages of local versus national when it comes to weather casting on the media?
I think I don't know. Ari would agree with me. When you work locally, you get to know, your viewers a lot more. You have a much more personal relationship with them. You get to know the small towns. One thing we love doing in North Alabama was just going on dates together, visiting these small towns. So we would be like, if there was severe weather, we would, know the different roads and intersections and landmarks. So we would better be able to describe them to our viewers. The tornado is near here.
Or watch Jason. I mean, Jason grew up in Coleman. He knew every mom and pop shop in North Alabama. It was amazing to watch him during severe coverage. But, oh, this is over by the Greenbrier. This is over by the little barbecue shop or whatever. And we were like, we want to be able to do that. So we started to just visit small places and get familiar with them and stuff, just as dates or whatever.
Yeah, because it's different. They're both great, and you can you can have personal relationships with the viewers, but you get to know a certain part of the country like in detail, whereas nationally, yes, you need to know kind of like everything in as much detail as you can, but you're covering so much that it's a more wider perspective rather than, so like, the southeast corner of this county or in this small town.
I would say, to be completely honest, I do miss local news a lot. Now, you talked about the benefits of both and the downfalls of both. The downfall of national is you lose that personal connection with people. That you see somebody in the supermarket. Oh, your tornado coverage was great last night. Thanks a lot. We were down in our shelter. A nice email once in a while. Just a very personal connection as people are waking up with you every day if you're working mornings. But the benefits of national is that, so much more exposure and you're on the cutting edge. I feel like local TV is, we can say it, it's kind of struggling right now. You know what I mean? I would find it hard to have been doing what I'm doing now and then go back to local news. But, very often I'm tempted because I love covering severe weather live on TV. I miss that like crazy. And we're doing a lot more, wide scope things.
Yeah,
here.
I think TV in general is more in a bigger transition. But it's hard though nationally because you really need to know the weather that's going on across all parts of the country, like not just your area, but like what's happening in the Northeast, what's happening in the Pacific Northwest, and even us globally. They're like a volcano, Mount Etna, in Italy. Tell us about that.
Well, you get a lot of great experience because, I, for one, I have no shame. If there's maybe a typhoon going on in the Philippines, like I referenced earlier, that's not my forte. Yes, I'm a meteorologist. Yes, I took tropical. I understand how they work. But I don't mind going up to one of the senior Mets there, a guy like John Erdman, being like, okay, how do these things behave here? Like, what's the big deal? Is it storm surge? Is it more of a wind problem? Is it more of a rain flooding issue? Do they have terrain? Like, what should we be looking for in these situations? Then you start to amass all this information. You become a more well-rounded meteorologist, I would say. But yeah, you kind of miss that personal connection a little bit.
Yeah. But other than that, there's pros and cons to both though.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think they've
National's
both
more
been
money too. That's good.
They've both been really good experiences, and it's fun working at the Weather Channel just because you're surrounded by meteorologists.
Yes.
And a lot of times you'd be like the only one at the local station. You're like, check out that satellite image, and they're like, cool, Jen. And I'm like,
everybody in
cool.
that building is a weather geek, including the non-meteorologists. If there's a good storm coming into the Weather Channel, everybody hits it up to the elevator. They're going up to the 8th floor.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking out the window toward the west.
Yeah, we're fighting for window space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's fun, though. It's a lot of fun. We like it.
Hey, Chris, you wanted to talk about the difference in your position between working for the local forecast office in Fort Worth and the RFC, which covered a much larger area.
Right. At the West Gulf RFC, our area covered basically all the rivers that drained into the western Gulf of Mexico, which went all the way from, well, you know where the Gulf of Mexico is, but from Brownsville up through Galveston, and even back toward the Upper Rio Grande in Pueblo, CWA. It was interesting when my wife was working for the FO in Fort Worth that a tropical storm would come and sit over the lower Rio Grande Valley. We'd have to go on 24-hour duty at the RFC. Meanwhile, she's looking at clear skies, maybe a few showers, no big deal. And she's looking over and seeing how busy we are over there. And I'm looking over at her and she's going through some training manuals. Okay, that's nice. But you also get the local effect or the local interest. I was assigned at the RFC a couple of rivers, Lean and Neches river basins, and I always had the opportunity to go and do some gauge crawls there, DCP gauge crawls to the land. This is where this forecast point is. These are the people that are affected by the river when it gets this high. Now we'll go downstream. Oh, here's a dam. This is some people who work there. So you get both the local aspect of it. It's not where you are, but there's still a local aspect, plus the whole RFC area where you have to consider a much larger area than the FO. And whereas where you're stationed, it might be sunny, it might be dumping buckets somewhere else in an area that you have to care about.
That's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, it's so cool to become a better rounded meteorologist, more well-rounded, because I was talking about international, but it's not just that, it's national too. I mean, when you're working in Huntsville, it's severe, 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 yes, and then you learn some of the local rivers and stuff. Okay, we get river flooding in these situations, but there could be a situation like river flooding going on in Missouri. You learn all the little tributaries that are the first to flood and how things progress down the river, and what goes on with upslope snow in certain areas. Just tons of little mesoscale things about different parts of the country that are just good to have as knowledge, I think.
Yeah.
I think one of the most overwhelming things to me to think about national versus local is, Jen, how in the world do you manage the social media? I'm just thinking about Twitter. How many different Twitter accounts does the Weather Channel have, and how does that work? Who does that, and who's tweeting, and it's not you. It can't be you all the time, but I mean, I'm just curious how that works behind the scenes.
Rick, it is me all the time. I am just a 24/7
Wow.
worker.
Wow.
Superwoman.
I
I'm
know.
impressed.
No, but that's a very good question. And the thing is, there are so many towns and the tornado warnings and everything like that. So I'm not the only one doing it. We do have coverage 24/7. And we do have probably, I would say, 6 or 7 meteorologists on the social side that do push out weather-related tweets. And whether it's flooding, whether it's a severe thunderstorm or something else, we're doing it all. And it's hard because we have, our tornado warnings and everything like that. But when there's a big outbreak, you've got all of us on deck watching the individual, the hook echoes and the rotation, and we'll put out more specific graphics and then put in post copy for it. So it can be kind of stressful. But at the same time, you're busy, and you're trying to inform people. You're trying to also talk back to people from all over the country, which can be a lot too, because you want to respond to everyone. And when you're at a local station, there's a lot of people asking, what's it going to be in my neighborhood? But nationally, it's like, what's it going to be in my neighborhood? And you get the entire nation asking that question. And so it can be a lot, because you'll put out, more specific forecasts for different areas of like different states, but they'll still ask that same question, and it's nationwide. So it's a lot, but we all manage it pretty well. We all communicate with each other. So it can be very hectic, but a lot of fun too.
And then somebody's also actively scanning, looking for pictures, looking for content that you can share, that you can use on the air. I mean, we see that all the time. Hey,
yep.
And I use your picture with, it's mind boggling when you think about it. It's hard enough to do that for 56 counties and be responsive and interactive with people and keep up with all the weather. It's just, it's pretty impressive when you think about it.
We talk about, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, well, it's so interesting because we have like, certain legal language that we use to ask people for permission for their photos. But that's another aspect of being, even a local meteorologist. Like, you're not just an expert in meteorology, you're an expert in geography, astronomy, and social media. They expect that of you in local stations. As soon as an update for Snapchat or Instagram comes out, you got to be the first one on it, using it, because if you're not, other local meteorologists or meteorologists are going to be doing it.
The viral houses will come after. That's a big business now.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's one thing I've learned so much about in digital. If I could go back to local news, I would do it so incredibly differently. My weathercasts. I've basically just learned how to make things interesting. You get into working in local news for so long, you get into a habit of, okay, here's what my show is going to be. I'm going to show temperatures, then I'm going to show the SAT-RAD, and then I'm going to show the forecast model, then I'm going to show these forecast graphics. It just gets drab, people want to see something interesting. So I think the most important part of our whole operation that we do in digital for our videos, which focus very heavily on video and wow, holy crap kind of video, is having a dedicated news desk for just that purpose of going around, knowing how to right away when stuff is going on. Okay, I see where the storm is. I can go in, I'm going to geolocate these people, find good assets, we call them, either videos or pictures, and right away ask them if we can use them. And so, you got to be able to gather that stuff. I think dedicated news desk is really important.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about the future of our business. We'd like to talk about this. And again, Chris, you're kind of out of our business, but for Ari and Jen, you are. And I guess Ari's in the sweet spot. He's on the digital side. But for those stuck over here on television, people get weather on their phone. That's where they get weather. So what's the future, Jen, of people like us, the Weather Channel and local television? Is there any hope?
There is hope. I just think everything is going to transition. And I think we're not going to have multiple TV stations for one city. I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that kind of model where you've got CBS, NBC, ABC. And you may have said something similar. I just don't think we're going to be able to do that, but there's always going to be a need for a local meteorologist or meteorologist. There just is. You can't automate everything when it comes to weather. You can't just have automated tornado warnings and that's it. You need a human touch to really understand the radar and explain things to people. So I think we're in a whole transition, and it's interesting because, you've got local TV stations with, their websites, and we're spreading everything out. You've got social, you've got digital, your website, your blog, your live blog, updating videos, Facebook Live, everything. And I think we're just trying to figure out where is it going to go, where once the older generation, they still watch TV, but the number one place where people get their severe weather information is TV.
Yeah, they should, local people.
So, TV is still number one when it comes to that, but, for daily weather, I think that's going to be the struggle.
I think it ends up on the phone. I think there's going to be just if there's tornado warnings, you've done some of this, James. I know that, on Ustream. I remember back in the day. I don't know what you do now, but I remember, you can watch this stuff online. People can take their phone into their shelter with them and stuff like that. Even we cut the cord.
Yeah, we did cut
don't have TV
to save money.
We don't even have an antenna. All we do is hook up an HDMI cord. If we want to watch something, you go on YouTube. That's it.
Yeah. So I think you're right. It's going to be more like you cannot lose a local meteor. There's always going to be a need for a meteorologist. It's just where's that meteorologist going to be? What device? Yeah.
And I think the key, you're right, Jenna, is what do you do on routine days? Tornado coverage, everybody watches, and hurricanes and all the sexy stuff. But the weather, quite frankly, is not that sexy a lot. And we're, like in the summer here, every day we say the same thing: hot, humid, the chance of an afternoon storm. And what do you do that's relevant? And we have to figure that out. At least we still have the screens. The print guys, their whole platform's going away. But at least people have phones and doodads, and some people have TV on the wall. I think there is a future, but we have to reinvent this whole thing. We can't be doing these Ron Burgundy newscasts from 1980 anymore. We have to change that.
Exactly. I could not agree more. And one thing I've learned big time in digital is that it's okay. If I went back to local news and we had a boring summer day, I would show some awesome weather video from somewhere else in the country to start off my weathercast. Honestly, I would literally just go on TV and I would say, look, the drill. Tomorrow's going to be the same as today was, but I want to just take this time to show you this amazing video. Have you ever seen hail this big before? Like, look what it's doing to the side of the, something like that. I think that's where it goes. And this is where I know, you've been a big critic, and that's okay. I don't mind, of weather.com at times, because, when the weather's drab, you're not going to see a weather story for every box that's on the homepage. You've got to be willing to branch out, I think. And I know it for the weather purist, you don't want to see the cats or whatever, like all that kind of stuff. But I think you got to sprinkle some of this stuff in that people are interested in order to keep them interested, basically.
Keep it weather vertical content. Is, that's how it's somehow impacted by the weather, like certain things, the economy, that kind of stuff.
We do things that are similar, like travel, nature, science.
But it is hard, though. I remember being a local meteorologist in the summertime, and I'm just Googling synonym for hot, humid, because you're just like, I've said these things so many times, and it's just, it's a big challenge, and I don't think anyone's found the solution yet to how it's going to work. But in the big events, whether or TV is king. It still is.
All right, one more question. So now we live in a 24/7 world, or at least we do. Maybe you guys don't, but with social, it doesn't turn off. People are asking questions at 3 a.m., 3 p.m., Saturday, Tuesday. How do you handle that? And I guess mainly I'm talking your personal accounts. It's a challenge. The lack of sleep. It's brutal. How do you two handle it?
It's brutal for us too. I'm like, there cannot be another social media platform that comes and we got to manage and do stuff for. Just, it's hard.
Mastodon, it's here.
I know. Like, I don't know. I'm just constantly, it's crazy. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll check it. I'll check Facebook. I'll check Twitter. I'll see what's going on. It's just kind of it becomes part of your life, you know? I mean, it's just, especially when there's active weather, and if there's active weather overnight, you're just constantly checking things, but it's really hard to shut off, especially with work-related stuff. I'll still do work. Ari will get on me in the evenings and stuff. He's like, Jen, you're not at work. I'm like, but kind of social doesn't shut down, and if there's something like a big question or something big happens at 10 o'clock at night, I got to be aware of it and cover it and that sort of a thing.
I've kind of evolved. Back in the day, especially working in local news, especially in a place like Huntsville, when you got a lot of severe weather, anytime there's something going on, you feel like you have to be on there. It's a competition. There's, 10 other Mets in the DMA that are going to be on there tweeting, and you want to get on there and tweet the best information. It gets so hard after a while. And I think lately I've gotten to the point where I just, I refuse to tweet something. I guess it's kind of a benefit of being national. At the national level is you can kind of pick and choose what you think is important and what you tweet about. Like I just won't tweet anything anymore unless I feel like it's very, very interesting and unique and different. I mean, you probably noticed I don't tweet as much as I used to. It just got very, just too much sometimes. You know what I mean? You gotta have a life.
Well, it's hard. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to turn off sometimes, especially for me. I have a problem with.
Or I've just started retweeting people more often. Just boop, 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 boop. Yeah. It's much easier. I know you do that, James.
That's my trick right there.
Yeah, I like that.
But smart. No, it's something we all struggle with, and there's no right and there's no wrong. We're just kind of feeling our way in the dark as we move into this new world. And I don't want to be the guy that's staring at my phone all day, especially when I'm going to dinner with my wife or, there's some family function. I want to put the thing up, but it is just a challenge. And people expect us to be there around the clock. And they sometimes just have to understand we have a family. And I play tennis on Sunday evening. I'm not going to be on the tweeter for like 2 or 3 hours. And if there's severe weather, I'll be there. But if there's nothing going on, I won't be there. But it's just a struggle. Well, listen, we've kept you guys for an hour, and we thank you all for your time. Chris, so you're in Minnesota. One more question for you, and we're going to let you guys go and move on to the recorded segments. Chris, how did you get in weather to start with? What got you into this?
Well, it's the classic story of I've always been interested in. I remember as a 5-year-old kid wondering, how are these thunderstorms forming? What makes them happen? Why is it doing that? And my parents were very good and encouraged that interest in mine to find out why the weather works. And I just decided to stick with that. I did take a break when I went to Minnesota and got a computer science degree. And then I realized, nope, my real love is weather. And I got my degree from UW, and that's been it ever since.
I got you. So Jen and Ari, same question for you two. How'd you get into this?
I've always loved weather. The interesting thing is I actually went to college originally to be a nutritionist, and I did that for 1 year. And then I tried a couple of things. And then I was like, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. And my friend's like, Jen, you love the weather so much. Why don't you, turn that into a career? And so that's what I did. But I ended up, they didn't have a meteorology program where I was an undergrad. So I got a geography degree and minored in math and then got my master's. So, but it wasn't an automatic, like, I'm going to do weather. I've always loved it and been fascinated by it, but it wasn't like, that's going to be my career. So.
Yeah. I also kind of found myself in it. I mean, I've always been a big weather enthusiast. I actually used to be scared of thunderstorms when I was a kid, but, basically, I started off at University of Wisconsin, 2003. I didn't know what I was going to do when I was a freshman. I was a math science guy, so I went into engineering. and I didn't like it. I'd taken a Weather 101 class as an elective. I said, you know what, forget it. I think I'm just gonna do weather. I really like this. It's got a lot of physics, which I like better than chemistry. So that's good. And it had a lot of math. So I did that, and then I got an internship with one of the local weather people, John Milan, up at WTMJ. He just recently retired. It's in Milwaukee. So I drive an hour. But the thing is, I wasn't planning on going into broadcasting. I thought I was just going to go in there and help him with his maps, and I would learn about weather. But then the time came to get a job, and he said, yeah, go up on the wall, man. We'll make you a tape. And that's how I ended up in it.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with you two, what's the best way to do that on social media?
I would say Twitter for me at @JWatson_WX, but I'm also Jennifer Storm 9 on Snapchat and Jennifer Weather on Instagram.
Mine's all Ari Weather, ARI Weather. I think Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
There you go. And Chris, are you on social media at all?
A little bit. I'm on the Twitters, and I also have a Facebook page. It's MNSOTN.
Nice.
Awesome. We'll go follow these guys, and thank you. Y'all have given us over an hour. Great to have you guys on the show. Thanks a lot for sharing your personal stories of your love life on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
That's for after.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, we appreciate it. Y'all have a great week. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, you too. Bye.
Okay, thanks, guys. All right, so we are going to take a break, and we are going to do. Tell you what, Aubrey, I see you sitting there. We got some emails, so let's get out of order here. Let's just get out of order here, because I got a funny feeling we might need a little bit of time to go through some email from the good old email inbox.
Letters. We get letters. We get stacks and stacks of letters.
All right, you scare me when you say that, James, because I only have a couple unless I'm missing some. So, all right, so here, our first one, we're going to start with Daniel Lucas, who always sends us some great links. I have not read the article yet. I did see it. It's from the Capital Weather Gang. The report, the National Weather Service meteorologists fatigued and demoralized by understaffing. And this was written by Angela Fritz. Has anyone read the article?
Yes.
What are your comments? I'd love to hear Brian and Rick's thoughts on this.
Well, not being a current member of the Weather Service, I can understand it completely, because when I retired, we were basically fully staffed, or adequately staffed, I should say. And it's just gotten a whole lot worse in the 13 years that I've been retired. And it's just, I can see where it's very demoralizing when you just don't have enough people to handle the work that is there before you.
Yeah, I don't really know how some of the offices have been doing it. I mean, weather service people are just dedicated and they're going to do what it takes. But gosh, you can only do that for so long. I'm really fortunate to be in an office where we're short one person right now. We were short, I think, 3 people for a couple of years, even going through that busy 2013 season. We were minus a key management position. But there's offices out there that are missing several forecasters. The SPC is short several people. So I can see it, and even if you're in an office where you're not short, I mean, it's the cumulative effect of all this uncertainty and everything. I think it was not, and this is the article is not just Angela speculating. I mean, this is a General Accounting Office report that she based her article on.
Yes.
So
yeah. Well, and I do have to say, Rick, that it's my experience when I was in the Weather Service and since retiring, that the Weather Service people are very dedicated, but it really isn't right to continually demand that people work extra hours because of short staffing. They need to fill out the staffing properly.
No, you can't expect people to do that. I mean, people will do it, but it needs to be. We need to.
I remember one particularly, and Rick, you probably can identify with this. I remember one particularly busy severe weather season in which I found out about the 80-hour comp time cap. And it's like, what? There's a cap on comp time? There's no cap on severe weather.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going through a paperwork at the office now because I got too much overtime during severe weather in the past pay period or something, having to fill out some. This is federal government, and I'm blessed, fortunate to have a job, but
Yes.
You know.
And I felt the same way, but by the same token, they understand law enforcement. Oh, well, we can't account for when there's going to be criminals. Well, dadgummit, we can't account for when there's going to be severe weather and you have to work, 80 hours in a week.
Yeah.
And let's say, too, that the blame is across the political spectrum here.
Yeah.
Before we start blaming Trump and Obama and Clinton and all these right and left wing people. Look, this is spread out across Republican and Democrat people in office here. So it's everybody's fault.
Yeah.
Well, and James, it is also upper level management of these agencies, because when you have vacancies, you know what you also have? You have money that's not going out.
Mm-hmm.
So by keeping vacancies, I'm sorry, follow the money. By keeping vacancies, especially higher level positions, guess what? You can take some, you can absorb some of these cuts, but it's not fair to the rank and file employees who are every day in and day out, serving extra hours to meet the demands of what the atmosphere gives us.
Yep. Amen. All right, Aubrey, there you go.
Preach it. All right.
Yep.
You heard from the source. Daniel Lucas also sent us an article. This one I did. Oh, what happened? It says, oh, snap. Something didn't reload. So I was glancing at this. It's an AP article. What's this title? It is Science Says Weather Forecasts Improve Under the Radar. So the first line is, make fun of the weatherman if you want, but modern forecasts have quietly, by degrees, become much better. So it talks about the percentage in the 5-day forecast and how much higher that is. Talking about some of the, basically the improvement in the forecast over several years. And one of my favorite parts says, Bob Ryan, the first national on-air weatherman on NBC's Today Show, basically said he's getting used to people never telling him he's never right. So he would challenge them to bet on how good his forecasts were. He'd offer to donate $5 to someone's favorite charity for every forecast blown if they donate $1 for every one that he got right. And no one took him up on that offer.
I bet.
Interesting. And this next one is a really cool YouTube video, and I'm going to have to share it, and we'll talk about it for our listeners. Where is my share? Is that my share? That's not my share. Share? Screen share. All right. Let's do this. All right. So this says a horseshoe vortex cloud in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Basically, it's like a really thin horseshoe shape, just kind of an upside down U. A little vortex, I don't know, maybe cirrus cloud or something high up in the sky.
No. I can tell you exactly what that is.
I thought, oh God, how wrong am I until you played that. So that's
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Very cool.
And then let's see. Whoops. Let's see.
Careful, Aubrey. You may show us something you don't want to.
Yeah.
Am I not screen sharing?
No, you haven't.
We're still screen sharing.
Then good. Then I will put up something this one I just saw on the one of the meteorologist pages on Facebook. Can you guys see this?
Oh, that's cool.
It's an Etsy item. Please do not confuse your weather app with my meteorology degree. It is a mug that is available on Etsy. It's called the Meteorology Mug. If you want to search that, it says it's $15. So that was quite funny. So if I can figure out how to stop screen share. Oh, there we go. All right. So that is what I have. So if you guys have any emails, you can send them to email@weatherbrains.com. Your guest suggestions, don't forget a way to get a hold of them. Show topics, what you like, what you don't like. If you have any other show suggestions, we would love to have those, and also send us some really cool links. We appreciate that. Email@weatherbrains.com. We're also on the Facebook and, of course, the Tweeters.
And we're not done. We've got Professor Peters, Tony Rice in the Astronomy Report. We'll come back with the Weather Roundup, picks of the week, and more as WeatherBrains rolls along.
WeatherBrains 101 with Professor Peters.
Planned for July 18th, 2017, the National Weather Service Meteorological Development Laboratory, or MDL, will upgrade the global forecast system-based gridded model output statistics guidance to 2.5-kilometer resolution over the continental U.S., from experimental to operational status, replacing the operational 5-kilometer CONUS guidance. This text product is known as MOS guidance. MDL began disseminating experimental 2.5-kilometer gridded MOS guidance over the CONUS with the intention of replacing the operational 5-kilometer products at some future date once all users and systems are able to use the higher resolution guidance. With this upgrade, the 5-kilometer Grid 2 products will no longer be sent across the Satellite Broadcast Network or NOAA port and will be replaced with the 2.5-kilometer products in the operational directory of the National Digital Guidance Database on the NWS FTP server. Most of this change is actually pretty transparent to most weather folks who use the MOS products, but several benefits will come from these changes. The higher resolution grid spacing should help to make the MOS guidance better. In addition to the grid spacing being closer, a new terrain and land water mask and terrain set will be used. This change alone should result in better representation of topography and improved consistency with observational analysis data sets. There are also changes in the dissemination grid, which will result in expanded areas of the 2.5-kilometer grid, especially for Alaska and the Yukon Territory. The ultimate goal, of course, is to help increase the accuracy of the data we all use to arrive at our forecasts. If you have a question about the weather, drop an email to question@weatherbrains.com.
Looking beyond the atmosphere, here's Tony Rice with your Astronomy Outlook.
Tuesday marks the 73rd anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Now, you might have heard of the contributions of Captain James Stage of the Royal British Air Force. He was a meteorologist who found a high-pressure ridge, enabling the landing of 150 Allied troops on the beaches of Normandy, in what his German counterparts considered unsuitable weather for such an invasion. But did you know about Arthur Thomas Dodson's similarly scientific, and in this case, astronomical contribution? The Army, Air Force, and Navy had competing requirements for this invasion. The Army preferred landing at high tide to reduce the amount of beach that soldiers must cross unprotected. The Navy needed low tide in order to expose and destroy the obstacles constructed on the orders of German Field Marshal Edwin Rommel, lest the bottoms of their landing craft be ripped out. Now, the aviators, they were looking for moonlight. They needed it to navigate by and drop their paratroopers on target. Everybody did agree on one thing, though. Crossing the English Channel under the cover of darkness was the best idea. Enter Arthur Thomas Dodson. He was a British oceanographer who had a hearing impairment that made it difficult for him to find work. But he put his mathematics degree to work during World War I, calculating shell trajectories for the British Army. Following the Great War, he turned his attention to the tides, applying the latest observation of lunar motion to tidal prediction equations dating back to Isaac Newton. Prior to D-Day, during the planning of D-Day, Dodson produced a chart which provided tidal predictions plus information about moonrise and set, sunrise and set, and the varying degrees of twilight. In the end, only June 5th through 7th had the right combination of tides, moonlight, and twilight. It was ultimately the weather, though, that decided which of those 3 days the invasion must take place. On June 5th, weather was unfavorable, and Rommel, still assuming that an invasion would only come at high tide, left to spend the next day with his wife on her birthday. That day, D-Day was launched, and Dodson's tidal predictions were found to be very accurate, ultimately saving lives. That's your Astronomy Outlook. Follow me at RTP Hokie for more spacey stuff like this.
When the weather ball is red, warmer weather is ahead. When the weather ball is white, colder weather is in sight. When the weather ball is green, no change in the weather is foreseen. When colors blink by night or day, precipitation's on the way.
This is the weather roundup for June 5th, 2017. Aubrey, what's happening in Harrisonburg?
It's been a little rainy today, and it is super muggy outside. We are 68 over 65, which is so oppressive for Virginia. But we have highs. We could be setting some record high minimums. Record minimum highs?
Record low highs.
Record low highs. I always get that mixed up. Wednesday and Thursday, forecast is 66 and 65. Records are 67 and 69.
Whoa.
So
nice.
Yeah. So pretty cool. And then we are near 90 Sunday. Oh my gosh, Mother Nature is so crazy.
So crazy. Rick, what's
So
happening in Oklahoma?
crazy.
And Aubrey, it's just like here, everywhere across the country, everybody says, wow, the weather here is so crazy. Only in Oklahoma, only in Alabama, only in West Virginia. But anyway.
And they also say, and if you don't like the weather, wait just a minute, it's going to change. They say that
Every
everywhere.
state.
Yeah.
And I
And we
can't
have the
believe it
worst
was 80
drivers.
yesterday and now it's 60 today.
Yeah, it's just crazy. This crazy weather. What's gotten into it? What's happening? And our drivers are horrible. So that's another thing too. It's kind of normal June weather here. We had kind of a stormy weekend, but it's quiet right now. Looks like a bit of a pattern change next week. Give us another opportunity for severe weather. But every day with a cloud in the sky or the chance of rain, the forecast is awesome in June around here, because when it shuts off, it's usually very unpleasant.
By the way, here's some breaking news on weather. This is a severe thunderstorm warning issued for those watching the polygons up on the screen. This is for part of Alaska.
What?
And this
Only
is
in Alaska.
The best part about this warning, in the polygon, population 0, schools 0, hospitals 0. So apparently just a few a moose and a squirrel are up there, and that's about it. I love those polygon warnings where there's nobody there.
So
and if
are
there's
they
2
in
or 3
wall-to-wall
people,
coverage?
that's a good question. But it's in the southern part of Alaska, and it's a warning for damaging wind and hail.
I give them 0 chance of verification.
Exactly.
When people make fun of that, the people make fun of those weather service warnings, and that's not what you're doing. But we really, in Alaska, it may be truly 0, maybe a moose or something, but you really don't ever know for sure. I mean, that population data around here and around your neck of the woods, or there could be who knows is out there. But yeah,
Could be someone fishing or hunting or
interesting when those population stats pop up on there.
A family of 5 might have just moved in that neighborhood. Who knows? So, I love those. So, Brian Peters, is it raining at your house today?
It rained several times. I just love the temperature trace this time of year. The temperature's on its way up, and a shower comes along, drops down about 10 degrees. Then it comes up about 5, and then it drops back 5 when another shower passes. And then it goes up about 5, and then it drops back another 5. It's just
so why are we even forecasting high temperatures?
I know. But what is really great, James, is we have kicked the crap out of the drought.
Woo!
At the last drought monitor report, 88% of Alabama was drought-free. Yay!
Wow. All right, cool. Well, let's do picks of the week here real quick, because I got to leave the newscast. Mine, since we had a bunch of folks from the University of Wisconsin on here, my pick is their Go 16 data site. Aubrey, what's your pick of the week?
Mine is from Jack Skillen, who sent me a link earlier tonight. It's weather.us. I just tweeted it. Some cool high-resolution model data from the Swiss Super HD. So been checking it out, and maybe you guys want to check it out, see how it does.
Very cool. All these links will be up on weatherbrains.com. Rick, what's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is a Capital Weather Gang article highlighting a very cool time lapse that my friend Jacob DeFlitch captured out over on May 27th over in the Texas Panhandle. Very cool time lapse of a supercell. And Brian, don't yell at me. This is not a pick, but I do want to throw a quick plug in. My friend Trevor Boucher reminded me that tomorrow, June the 6th, is the deadline. If you want to nominate somebody for an NWA, National Weather Association award, it's a very cool opportunity to do that. I was fortunate to win one of these awards in 2013, and it's very cool knowing that your peers have nominated you for that. So you can go to nwas.org for details. But yeah, if you know somebody that you think never gets recognition, there's a chance.
Awesome. All right, Brian, what you got?
Well, I ran across Chuck Doswell's comments about tornado chasing versus storm chasing, and I thought they were just absolutely to the point. So I will put that up as part of Chuck's chatter. He's done another one since then that I like also, but I'll go with this one for now.
Awesome. You can't go wrong with those. So we've got to put a Little bow on this package here. We got to roll. WeatherBrains is typically on the air every Monday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. You can watch it live, the video version, live.bigbrainsmedia.com, or later on YouTube or wherever. But we know most of you listen, and we thank you so much for doing that. If you want to get in touch with us, the email address is email@weatherbrains.com, and all of our social media accounts are on the website, weatherbrains.com as well. So on behalf of the entire WeatherBrains crew, I'm James Spann. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. God bless. Thanks, everybody. That was a good show.
Happy birthday
Y'all have a
tomorrow,
great
sir.